Hey guys, I just got back from Alaska and I'm leaving on another trip in a few days, but before I do that, I wanted to tell you all about the Sony A7R IV. So, Sony just announced the A7R IV a couple of days ago, and I'm super excited about this camera. I already ordered not just one, but two of them. And in this video, I want to tell you just a little bit about this and why I think it's so exciting for wildlife photography. So, and I think it's interesting to reference a couple of videos that I made recently. One is that I made a video about why the A7R III is often a better camera to use for wildlife photography than the A9. And I also made another video about why I wouldn't be getting the Sony 600mm f4 lens, and I was going to stick with the 400 f2.8 as my primary lens. So let's talk about this. One of the exciting things about the A7R IV, and I don't need to go into all the details in this video, but one of the exciting things is that it shoots 61 megapixel images. Huge, right? That's a 50% increase over the A7R III, which has 42 megapixel images. And yet it will still shoot 10 frames per second. It will also have better autofocusing capabilities than the A7R III. Now I read something about it having A9 autofocusing capabilities. People should be very careful what they read into that. It's not going to have the A9 autofocusing capabilities. What I mean by that is it may have all the tracking, it may have a faster processor, etc., but it's going to have to process 61 megapixel images, right? The A9 processes 24 megapixel images, thereby it can fit more in the buffer, it can shoot faster, and if you want the speed of the A9, and let's not forget also that the A9 has the distortion-free electronic shutter. The A7R IV will not have that. It will have an electronic shutter, but there will be artifacts from rolling shutter, so with moving subjects. So let's be clear that there are times when the A9 is still the weapon of choice. When I was in Alaska recently, I was there primarily to photograph bears, but on one day I photographed puffins out on the water. I was in a boat that was moving up and down. It was very difficult to get focus and track the birds as they flew in the air. The A9 was definitely my camera of choice for that. And there are plenty of times when you'll still want the speed of the A9 and the shutter of the A9, but for a lot of cases, as when I was shooting bears in Alaska recently, the A7R III was perfect. And I think with the A7R IV, you'll have even more reason now to choose that over the A9. You'll have this additional reach that you can get cropping in post with the higher resolution, and you'll have better autofocusing capabilities. Now let's talk about longer focal lengths. So here's the thing, that with 61 megapixel images, you will be able to crop further in post. Now, to be clear, you can't just put any crappy lens on a 61 megapixel sensor and then expect that you can digitally zoom in post. You need to have a lens that is capable of resolving detail to take advantage of the sensor. But we know for certain that Sony, and they've talked about this in the past, Sony have designed their current G Master, which is their top-of-the-line lenses, their GM lenses, to have that ability. Those lenses are so sharp. The Sony 400 f2.8 that I use and the 135 1.8 that I also use, those are some of the sharpest lenses around, and certainly some of the sharpest lenses in Sony's lineup, and they designed those to allow for future higher resolution sensors like this new sensor in the Sony A7R IV. So I fully expect to be able to use the A7R IV with the current lenses I have and be able to crop in further and still see a lot of detail. So it means that even more so, I'm quite happy not to be having to lug around a 600mm lens and be stuck at 600mm, but to shoot with 400, sometimes with a teleconverter at 560, and have the ability to get more of an environmental shot with more space in the shot, but then sometimes to zoom in further in post. It gives me more flexibility rather than making that decision at the time of shooting with a longer lens. Now here's the other thing. This new camera, the A7R IV, will shoot in crop mode, it will shoot 26 megapixel images. So the A7R III, with its 42 megapixel sensor, it only shoots 18 megapixel images, which is less, lower resolution than if you were to use a Sony crop, APS-C crop sensor camera like the A6400 that I'm shooting this video on right now. So when I want to make that decision as to whether or not I want to get further reach at the time of shooting, apart from putting a longer lens on like a 600, I would typically reach for a APS-C camera like the A6400, and I would shoot a 24 megapixel image. However, the A7R4, you can use it in crop mode at the time of shooting and still get a 26 megapixel image. So really, why would I carry around a crop sensor camera to get further reach? There's no need, really. So I'm excited about the possibility that instead of carrying around the A7R3, the A9 and the A6400, that unless I'm shooting some very fast-moving wildlife, I could actually leave the A9 at home, leave the A6400 at home, and I could just take out two A7R4s and be able to do a lot with that. I'd have 61 megapixel images that I'd be capturing on both my longest lens, which is a 400 for me, and my medium lens, which is a 135, and have a lot of flexibility to crop in post. And I'm getting also all of these new features in this new camera, so it's super exciting. So I think this is a real game changer, and I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to get my hands on the cameras. So anyway, I thought I'd just let you know a little bit about this camera if you didn't know about it already, and also give you my thoughts on it. I'll see you in the next video.